Well, let's talk about aura stackers. In today's video, I want to take a look back at this long-forgotten build archetype. We'll break down how it became so popular, why it literally broke the game back in the day, and how it eventually fell out of the meta due to endless nerfs. But most importantly, we're going to talk about why it's still completely playable in 2026, even if it comes with a few major caveats. To understand how we got to where we are today, we need to go back to Delirium League, patch 3.10. That was exactly when cluster jewels were introduced to the game. Now, a very important clarification. Back then, this build wasn't called an aura stacker at all. The community knew it as the Herald Stacker. And that was all thanks to a specific combination of two notables on medium cluster jewels. The first one was Purposeful Harbinger, which increased the effect of auras on you by 10% for each herald affecting you. The second one was Endbringer, which granted 25% increased damage if you had 5 heralds active. The crazy part was that these bonuses had absolutely no cap on stacking. A fully loaded passive tree allowed players to reach around 600% increased aura effect and a massive 1,500% increased damage. This instantly provided 90% all maximum resistances, absurd damage, and literal immortality. In patch 3.11, the developers reworked the herald mechanics, placing a hard cap on the aura effect from Purposeful Harbinger. At that exact moment, the Herald Stacker ceased to exist, marking the transition to the classic aura stacker. Players dropped the heralds and shifted to stacking pure aura effect through other medium cluster notables. The build lost some damage, but kept its core defensive layers intact. In patch 3.12, the archetype received a massive follow-up buff with the introduction of alternate quality gems. However, the Aura Stacker reached its absolute peak of power in patch 3.13 during Ritual League. It's worth noting that patch 3.13 actually brought a heavy nerf to medium cluster jewels. The small passive nodes were cut from 6% aura effect down to just 3%. Yet players easily found a workaround by using clusters with 2 specific notables, first among equals and replenishing presence. This completely compensated for the loss of the base aura effect. As a result, patch 3.13 became the ultimate golden age for this build. The downfall of the archetype began to show in patch 3.14 with yet another harvest nerf, which instantly skyrocketed the cost of making perfect gear. Patch 3, 15 changes were relatively painless, and the introduction of automated flasks via instilling orbs actually added some extra comfort. But the real devastating blow came in patch 3.16. The developers replaced static reduced mana reservation with a diminishing utility model. Mana reservation efficiency. The new formula demanded significantly more investment just to fit the same number of auras. Furthermore, GGG completely removed medium cluster jewels for aura effect, replacing them with small clusters that only gave reservation for specific auras and a generic 10% aura effect. And here lies a critical structural detail. The build didn't just suffer from losing raw aura effect percentages. It suffered because small clusters are complete dead ends on the passive tree. Unlike medium clusters, you cannot socket rare jewels into them. This meant players could no longer slot in rare jewels for critical, strike multiplier, or energy shield. The build became incredibly inefficient in terms of passive point allocation. Even so, the build caught a massive second wind in patch 3.17, thanks to new, unique items. The melding of the Flesh Jewel allowed players to push all maximum resistances to 90% using just one profile aura instead of 3. The Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh dual combo let players steal powerful notables from other ascendancies. And when paired with a Mage Blood belt, a reduced mana cost flask suffix and March of the Legion boots, players found a way to temporarily activate ultra-powerful high-level auras for free. The build became obscenely expensive, but it refused to die. However, this couldn't last forever. The final nail in the coffin for the general public occurred between patches 3.23 and 3.25. First, in 3.23, GGG completely removed alternate quality gems from the game, stripping the build of a massive chunk of free aura effect. Then, the ultimate killing blow landed in patch 3.25. The developers completely reworked the Hatred aura, removing the pure, more damage multiplier, which was the backbone of DPS for most variations of the build. After that, trying to assemble an aura stacker using standard methods simply made no sense. The build officially became history. It would seem that after so many nerfs, you can finally close the book on this archetype. But what is actually happening with it right now? I believe that the aura stacker is still alive, and one of the biggest reasons for that is its economy. Items that used to cost insane amounts of divines at the peak of the build's popularity, items that were only accessible to the top 1%, now cost literal pennies due to zero market demand. What used to be an unobtainable luxury can now be put together on a very reasonable budget. In my upcoming videos, I am going to prove this to you in practice. I'll break down the current passive tree, show you the new workarounds we use for reservation, and showcase the real damage and defense numbers in the current state of the game. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it, and stay sane, Exile.